We're here today in Columbia Station with my friends Ralph and Ann, who did an amazing job on this beautiful old farmhouse where they put a ton of love and sweat equity in, and just all kinds of a lot went into this house. So can't wait for you to see the before and after pictures, and they did an addition. So we're going to talk a little bit about your process and what that looked like. So when we found this house, it was not in great condition, and they did have a vision to add on a master suite. However, that vision really changed over time. So why don't you guys talk a little bit about the process and what you were thinking in the beginning and what kind of things changed along the way?
Well, I guess you could say we were originally looking for either a house with a place to build a barn, or a barn that had a house that we could redo. Well, we bought a barn with a house that had to be redone. We just didn't realize how much redone we'd have to do.
Yeah.
So we ended up tearing off the back half of the house. Over half the house got torn off, and we found out it had fire damage and other things in it. And it's a century home, and it needed a lot more love than we thought it was going to need.
Yeah, a lot more. And I think that's something that people need to know, really, because when you start tearing into things, you don't know what you're going to find. Even though they, had people come in and contractors looking at it, until you open it up, you might not know. So there was fire damage.
Yeah. It looks like that they had two different fires. They had one in the little addition they put in the back, which had burned through the roof. And then there was another one where they must have had a wood stove in the basement, and some of the main beams were charred and burned. So those are all gone now, and now we have some lovely steel beams.
Wow, oh my gosh. And you guys should see the incredible basement. They were only going to do a crawl space, and then the contractor talked you into another another bigger basement.
Yeah, he talked us into another 5 feet.
Oh, okay. So it's still pretty phenomenal down there.
Yes, it's our own personal bowling alley.
So they put the addition on the back. The one thing that they did have a vision of initially was to put their master suite on the back of the house. And then where we're sitting is the kitchen right now. So there's a really beautiful large island. One of Ann's favorite things is on the other side of it, her shiplap. Right, Ann?
Right. Our the woman who did all our painting throughout the whole house, she has incredible vision. And she said, why don't we take these boards, and I've seen it where you can paint it and then you make it distressed. And so she took all the colors of paint that we used throughout the house and did that on the boards. And then we laid it out so that it was put it up on to cover up the island, and it's great. I love it.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Very different.
And these guys have 2 dogs that are awesome. They'll be running around. So if you hear that.
Yeah.
They are not well trained.
Oh, they're adorable. So what else did you guys do? I mean, I feel like what changed since the beginning? Because there were some things.
The whole house.
I mean, you took stairs out and you moved them.
Right. When we tore the back half of the house off, it had the original Century Home stairs, which were about 2 foot wide going up to the attic on the right side of the house, and it was in a very bad place. So we ended up tearing those stairs out and moving everything over to the left side of the house, and we tore out the old bathroom, and that now is our laundry room and where the staircase is. And that sort of just happened virtually. We weren't planning on doing that, and it just sort of happened. And a lot of things in the house, as we started to build it, we realized that we couldn't live with what we had, so we had to change it. As you sit in the kitchen here, this whole opening, there was a wall right where we're sitting that went all the way across. We ended up tearing that wall out, and we now have over a 16-inch thick plywood beam that goes from one end of the house to the other to support the bedrooms that are above the kitchen. So that was another thing that we didn't anticipate doing.
Yeah, basically, I needed a header for it. And not so that you don't have something dropping down here.
Right.
Correct.
Yeah, because that's a long run.
Right.
Yeah,
So steel beam, you said, right?
No, it's actually wood.
This one's wood.
It's a laminated beam, and it's literally 16 inches high, and I think it's 6 inches thick.
Wow.
It's huge.
Yeah. Wow.
And all the floor joists and everything are attached to that beam.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you can see downstairs you've got all new beams down there too, and joists and everything. Yeah, and the old basement, it was pretty.
pretty ugly.
Part of it's still there.
Yes.
It's still there, but it's looking a lot better. It's
Right.
much more
Yes.
bright down there and everything. But that's something to consider too, because when you come in here, we're rehabbing a house right now that we're going to Airbnb, and the basement, unfortunately, the joists all need to be redone. The main beam needs to be done down there. It's really, that can be quite an expense that you don't necessarily count on until
Correct.
people start digging into things. So what do you feel like was the most expensive part for you guys, that especially that was not planned? Do you have something more than another?
Well, I think one of the things that surprised us is when we first started this project, which of course was during COVID, during the height of COVID, was how the price of wood just tripled. I think if we had been able to do it in the beginning, it wasn't so bad. But I mean, one day the price of wood was X. The next day, or literally a couple hours later, the price of wood was just
Right.
tripled.
I
It
bought
was
2x4s
unbelievable.
in the morning for I think $3 or $4 a 2x4, and then I went back that afternoon and they were $5 a 2x4, just in a matter of 4 hours.
Jeez.
Those kind of stuff, and it seemed like every time we went, or how do I want to say this? It seemed like every time we needed a new type of building material, the price went up. When we needed insulation, the price of insulation went up. When we needed paint, the price of paint went up. Everything and it was all due to what was happening in the real world, but our timing was just absolutely perfect at paying too much.
So you're gonna stay here forever.
Yes.
Absolutely.
You're gonna stay
That's why
here
it's
forever.
all one floor living. I mean, we do have an upstairs with 3 bedrooms up there, but it's all, when push comes to shove, when the time comes, we can just live on one floor.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which
you
is
pretty
great.
much do.
Yeah.
Your office is upstairs.
Yeah.
Ralph, yours is down. So I feel like, so what are the things that you love the most in here that you did? I mean, is there something in particular? I know this, but what are you really glad that you said, oh man, I'm so glad we put this here, or,
There are two things to me. One is the open concept of having the big counter to set your food on and eat at the counter if you want. That was one. And the other is the vaulted ceiling. I mean, even though it's not something that we anticipated we were going to do, we vaulted the ceiling, and it just makes it look so much bigger and so much nicer from a floor space kind of vision.
I totally agree. Here and in your bedroom.
Yeah, and in our bedroom too. Yeah, I love the bedroom, even though it's not a big room because of the vaulted ceiling. It seems a lot bigger than it is.
Right.
Well, and you have huge closets.
Yeah, we have big closets. Yeah,
We did put in
we
big
did
closets.
Put in big closets and
I'm
a
jealous.
nice master bathroom with my
Yeah.
soaking tub, and so there are a lot of things like that.
A lot of amenities.
Yeah, and the yard and everything is great for the dogs, which we really like, and so it's
Yeah, these guys
It's
are
a
gonna
good
put
neighborhood.
like a winding, deck around the side. So they did, they've got sliders in here. There's a lot, if you can't tell, there's
Yeah.
tons of natural light. It feels so good. And then the door going out, but they'll have, a deck going around. So I think, and the other thing is they lived here while all this was going
Yes.
on.
We lived in 600 square feet.
Us two and 3
And
dogs.
we had 3 dogs at the time.
So if you think it can't be done,
It
well,
can.
it can. It can. It came out gorgeous.
Yeah.
Anything
Thank
else you guys want to add?
Um,
Oh, we do have the barns outside.
Yes, we do have the barn, which is my area. That's my space. The garage and the barn are my space, and the barn, really, we didn't do anything to, but besides paint it. It used to be an old body shop, and so all I needed to do was organize it and put my stuff in it. And actually, everything we owned fit in that barn at one point.
Yeah, when
That
we were
is
living
crazy.
here.
That was the only saving grace, I
Yeah.
think, for
Yeah,
coming
we,
here.
Definitely.
we had one
Definitely.
3-foot wide aisle going from the door back to the back, and everything else in the barn was stacked with furniture and car parts and whatever. Everything we owned was in that barn.
Man. And then the garage, which you'll see in the pictures, is unbelievable. And Ralph has an attic out there. It's just, how tall are the ceilings in there?
They are 14 feet because I have a car lift and I work on my cars. So.
Yes, he's definitely a good car guy. My hubs likes Ralph. So that was amazing too. So do you guys? I mean, your initial budget was not what you ended up with.
No.
Do you mind sharing what
Well,
it ended up to be?
Our original budget was around, we were thinking 150,000. By the time we were done, we doubled that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So really, to count on something, you got to just really and know that materials could go up and all that. And there are always things that I feel like somebody presents along the way. Do
And
you
you're
want to
like,
do this? And you're like,
yes.
oh yes, we
Yes,
do.
that's great.
Yes, that happened
exactly.
a lot.
That happened a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a contract. Our contractor and our painter were always full of great ideas.
And, and I have to admit that, I mean,
And we're happy with what we
we're
did.
not, there are not a shortage of electrical plugs in this house.
Yeah, we have a lot of electrical
And there's
plugs,
not a
outlets.
shortage of lights.
Yeah.
And, in the beginning, my wife was like, why do we need all these lights? And I'm like, because someday we're going to say, why didn't we do this? Because we can't see anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So all that stuff, even though it was not planned, it was worth it and paid off. Same goes with, we got really good cabinets, and those were worth the money because, everything is accessible, and probably the thing that most of our friends like the best about this house is the pull-out microwave in the kitchen.
Microwave oven.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
so it's
Under
down
counter.
here.
It's
Right,
under counter.
it's
Yeah.
under the counter, and everybody who sees it says, "Oh, that's neat. I got to get one of those." So
I know somebody.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys so much for interviewing with us
Thank you.
today and letting us see your beautiful house.
Thank
I've been
you.
here before.
Thank you.
Thank
But
you.
thanks, you guys. Have a good day today.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.